And thank you for joining us on this Friday morning. I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno.
And I'm Ana Rodriguez. The weekend's almost here. We can taste it, but you may need to have some backup for your outdoor plans. We have storms firing up, not only today, but into the weekend.
All right, so we're tracking it all for you. It's a flash forward Friday today because I'm watching another chance of storms coming into Oklahoma City. We are looking at storms potentially again this morning. Then we'll get a break, and then we've got some Sunday storms back into the picture for you. Very warm, very humid right here across the midsection of the country. So here is the active radar right now. We'll talk about Oklahoma City in a minute. I want to mention Kansas City, where we are starting with some thunderstorms again approaching the area on this morning. We've got some flash flood warnings up. Those are the areas in green. The rain has moved out of the area, but it's been very heavy overnight. So certainly watching any streams and creeks that are running high. That's where there could be some issues this morning. So here's what's happening. Lots of moisture in place. We've got our boundary. And you'll notice that, it's not going to be moving very quickly. So it's got a stationary look to it right back here across West Texas into Oklahoma, Kansas. So we are kind of stuck with that for the weekend. It's a little more progressive farther north. And actually, there's a piece of upper level energy that comes in to help give us some thunderstorms today across parts of Minnesota. But other than that, we've got our southern branch of the jet stream pretty active right here from Texas into Oklahoma. This is the area to watch for severe weather today. We've got some storms this morning, and we could track more potentially this afternoon. Damaging winds and hail would be the main threat. Now, looking at the storms farther north, let's track this because I know you're waking up early in Minnesota, some thunderstorms as we speak. We track that east. Chicago by this morning, a chance, and another chance coming in overnight. St. Louis by this evening, we could see some storms as well.
I hear fall is a nice season. I don't know.
But it doesn't know where it is right now. Fall is lost. Although we do have it this morning in the Northeast, I have to say, gorgeous weather here in our nation's capital. We'll enjoy some cooler temperatures again today, only heading to the upper 70s. This is what's most exciting about this view right now. Look at this. The only piece of scaffolding left right here on the Capitol. Finally, we can again get some great pictures of our U.S. Capitol. The renovations are done on the outside. It looks great, right? Doesn't it? And scaffolding is finally on its way off. All right, so let's talk about actually the chill and the feel of fall in the air. We've got some frost advisories up here for this morning. Northern New Hampshire and Vermont, also into parts of northern Maine and upstate New York. Saranac Lake, our usual cold spot, is under a frost advisory this morning. So nice clear night. One thing you might have also noticed about that Capitol picture is the flags were not blowing at all. So very still, very calm winds out there, and that's a recipe for cool temperatures actually in the morning. We got a nice crisp fall feel to the air this morning, and we'll keep that into the afternoon as temperatures stay in the 70s for the most part all across the area. Now tomorrow we start warming back up and we actually start bringing some moisture back as well. That's a trend that we're going to set up for Sunday, and some rain here. And about rain and thunderstorms, we've got that ahead in your weekend in view. Starting today on your Friday, your getaway day, with some thunderstorms across the middle of the country. Now severe weather risk today is right here from West Texas, the Panhandle, up into Oklahoma, maybe even Kansas. We'll keep an eye on these storms. We've got some this morning. There'll be another round later today. And then the whole system that we're tracking does move east. It's slow, but it does bring some rain possibly to Detroit, to Indy, to Columbus, to Cleveland by Saturday. By Sunday, it's moving into the Northeast, bringing some rain chances here. How much will it be heavy? I know you want to know for your gardens, for your farms up here in the Northeast here. There is the chance that we could get a decent rainfall when we continue into Monday with this. All right, well, let's take a look at when you might see that best fall color you just saw in Colorado. You got some of those aspens just looking phenomenal right now. And we are close to when we typically see peak. It's usually late September when you get up at elevation here across Colorado, and the aspens are the first to come out with that beautiful golden color. Now, you got to go for pretty far north in September to get any color. And really, it's northern Minnesota where they are watching some color right now. We are going to be looking for really mid-October to see the bulk of the Midwest. The Appalachians start to come in late October further south. And Ana, I feel like in the south we get a nice long viewing season. Yeah.
Fall in the south is absolutely incredible. The Northeast is what worries me because it's been so.
It's half past the hour, and welcome back to AMHQ Early on this Friday. I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno.
And I'm Ana Rodriguez. We're watching a lot this morning. We have one more day of potential storms and flooding before we can get to the weekend.
For the middle of the country.
Yep.
Then we'll show you where else it goes. So let's start with the storms that we've seen with all of the active weather just yet. Look at the radar. Very busy on this Friday morning, all the way from Minnesota, Wisconsin, and North Dakota right back down to Texas. Now, Dallas, I know you see this approaching you. I think this will break up and actually split in 2 pieces before it gets too close to Dallas. But we'll keep an eye on that. We'll also watch all of this active weather in Nebraska and Iowa and Missouri this morning. Flash flood warnings, a couple of them still in effect here just north of the Omaha area. We've had heavy rain overnight. The rain isn't terribly heavy right now, but there's still some more to get into that region. So those flash warnings still up. All right, Dallas, watching for you. It's not that morning batch of thunderstorms I'm worried about. It's storms that develop later today. We're going to get another round. The jet stream very active right here, the southern branch of the jet, right over the Texas Panhandle into Oklahoma and southeastern Kansas. So storms with hail and damaging winds possible there this afternoon into the early evening. See how things play out. We're going to get one round that moves into parts of Missouri and Arkansas, and then additional storms refire by this afternoon. And again into tomorrow, we're going to see this area stay active as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast. You know, in places like Kansas City, we can't seem to catch a break. We do have thunderstorms not too far away this morning. We're going to keep that in the forecast through today. And then again tomorrow, we will see that chance of storms. All right, let's look at Kansas City for us, into Chicago. Chicago getting into later this evening, watching for additional thunderstorms to fire.
At our tropical update this morning, a lot of activity in the Atlantic. It's Julia becoming a tropical storm again, but the good thing is that it's out to sea now.
So it's busy, not busy kind of situation as we take a look at what's going on in the tropics. You look at this map and at first glance you're like, whoa, there's a lot happening. And there is a lot going on and to track. We've got 2 things in the Eastern Pacific. Orleans, a tropical storm now, not concerned about this. This next invest, the interesting thing about it is some of the moisture may get up into the southwest later next week, but we'll talk about that later. This other area to watch, western Gulf of Mexico, is something to keep an eye on through the weekend to bring some extra rain to perhaps Texas. And then we've got Julia, and then we've got Ian, and then we've got Carl, our newest tropical storm. 3 named storms in the Atlantic, the first time since August 30th of 2012 that we've had 3 named storms in the Atlantic at once. So starting with Julia, this one has been hovering, it's been meandering, it's been stalking the coast right here. It's still remaining to do that, except for it's pretty far offshore now, more than 200 miles away. It is a tropical storm. In case you missed that yesterday, it regained its tropical storm status. Hurricane hunters have been flying in to get more information about both the wind speed and the position of the center of circulation. There were actually kind of 2 circulations they were following yesterday. Still have the big blob of a circle, too, in terms of a path. It's going to meander off the coast into the weekend. Then we look at Tropical Storm Ian. This one continuing to accelerate. It's interesting, its track. First of all, it's moving northeast at 48 miles per hour. A track takes it just to the east of Iceland. So that's just an interesting track. Nonetheless, it's going to be continue to race off to the north and east. And then Carl, Tropical Storm Carl. It is 640 miles to the west-northwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. So it's sort of in between here and a little more than 1,000 miles away from the Lesser Antilles. So let's track this one because certainly it's interesting. It's in the middle Atlantic. We're going to track it in this main development region as a tropical storm, but strengthening over the next several days. You know, wind shear has been a concern with this. This thinks there'll be enough relaxing in the shear and it'll be in a position that it will at least be able to strengthen to a stronger tropical storm, potentially to a hurricane by Wednesday morning. Now, where does it go beyond that? That's something we got to watch getting into, next week and beyond. We got a lot of time to watch that. The models have been changing their mind a little bit on where that is going. Let's look at Typhoon Malacus, another one that is approaching Taiwan. This one coming in from a different angle. The last one, Morante, that we just watched, actually came in and scooted right along the south side of the island. This one actually going to scoot just like that, just to the across the northern tip, potentially providing impact there. So the island of Taiwan, and it is really taking on the chin with the tropics.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Jen.